All right. Onward and upward. Okay. What are we doing here? Week 1. So this is the introduction video. Obviously going to be taking place of this. Um, all right. So I'm just kind of going through all the stuff that's due this week. So this week is really just kind of an introduction to the course. You do have a little bit of course reading. I really try and break down the reading because, man, it's so difficult. They give me so many books. And honestly, next semester I'm going to pitch to have the either the 7 habits or the emotional intelligence book removed, because I feel like having 3 books in 10 weeks is a lot of reading, and I would rather go deeply into 2 books rather than just very superficially into 3 books, because it is a lot of reading. So anyways, I try and break it down as best I can. When we get to the end, the emotional intelligence book is just kind of crammed in there, so a lot of reading towards the end. But for now, because I want you to learn these theories, I try and break it down into smaller chunks of reading. So this week, you can begin reading chapters 1 and 2 kind of right off the bat. But the thing is that there's group assignments here. So go ahead and click on that. I'm going to delete this spot holder for the video and just kind of go through here and explain this now. You have group assignments, and the reason I did that is because obviously this is a leadership course, and that's kind of like a leadership assessment, but it's not. I mean, it's not really an assessment. It's just, I guess it is an assessment. I guess it is an assessment, because the idea here is that I want to see how well you guys can manage yourselves. And using these theories, you can now have some opportunities. If you don't have any other leadership role elsewhere, you at least have a leadership role here. And it can help you kind of put these theories into context a little bit. And so anyways, click on this group assignment video PDF first. It's going to open up a file that has everyone's group assignment in there, and I did this based on location in case you guys wanted to try and get together and work outside of class if you need to. Honestly, I can't say for sure what all group work you're going to need to do. It's not going to be huge things. You're not going to have like a massive group project. It's going to be like 1,000,000 points. But it is smaller things, like for instance the group leader. It kind of explains this here a little bit. Let me go back. It explains it here a little bit. Where'd it go? Yes. Discussions. So you do have discussions, and really what's going to happen after week 1 is the group leader is going to have to read the content, look at what we're doing that week, and then generate a discussion topic for that group. And the idea there is to motivate your peers to kind of talk and collaborate and work together to figure out, to problem solve, right? That's essentially what a group is, and a group leader facilitates that, kind of working on that collective power that you'll read about. I think it's chapter 2. It's a blur. I've read so much in the last couple of days. I think it's chapter 2 where they talked about the collective power of groups and how your followers are important. Even if you're the leader, you're not a leader without followers. So anyways, the idea here is for you to motivate your group members as the leader to do the assignments, to do the work. And there is kind of a breakdown there, is that if you have a person in your group, and this isn't a very big grade, by the way, but it is a grade, if someone in your group doesn't do the assignment, then that is reflected on the group leader. So for instance, if they don't participate in the discussion, then that's on the group leader. Now again, that is a 75-25 split, where 75% is based on the leader themselves, and the 25% is based on the group mates. And so if all 3 of your peers don't do their work, then you'll end up with a 75%, which is still a C, but it does have some influence. So your peers you also have some influence over the leader of your group. They're great anyways. But ultimately, that's the kind of stakes that are at play whenever you have a real group and a real leadership role. Anyways, probably much less so in the classroom, because it's only 25 points. If you're in the real world, then you have people to answer to. So anyways, the group assignments. Everyone has a leadership date, actually 2 of them, except for 2 people. They got lucky because we have 25 people, which realistically, majority of the time, we have kind of an attrition rate. Attrition means a loss of people, right? So we have usually a loss of about 10%. So I'm assuming that 2 to 3 people are probably going to leave this class for whatever reason. And so we'll probably condense groups later, but for right now, if everybody stays in the class, there are 2 people that only have to be a leader once because we have an odd number of people. So anyways, group 1, these are the dates. So by your names down here, you're going to see the date in which you are going to be the leader of your group. And so it'll be 2 weeks spread apart, because the idea here is for those people that are week 2 and week 3, they haven't really had too much experience. I'm assuming nobody has any leadership role experience at all coming into this class. And so week 2 and week 3, you know, if you're in that role, then obviously you haven't had a whole lot of time to digest what we're talking about here. And you can't really use those skills and those theories as we discuss them in class. You haven't really learned much yet. And so that's why I spread them out. So by week 7, so Kelly here, she's week 2 and week 7. If you're week 2, obviously you haven't had a whole lot of time to learn a whole lot. But then you have a chance to kind of redeem yourself in week 7. Hopefully by week 7 you've learned a little bit, because the hack class is 70% done, because there's really only 10 to 11 weeks here. So these are the groups. Again, I tried to put these by location, so I literally went in and looked to see what city you guys live in. So like the reason that these guys got a 5-man group is because, first of all, we have 25 people, and 6 by 4 is 24 people, so somebody had to have a 5-man group. But also these people were all the Illinois side of the river, so I put these people together. At least I hope so. I hope you guys all live somewhat relatively close, because that's the idea here. I know there were 2 people that are really like kind of far out. Somebody lived in like Crystal City, and then somebody lived like really far east in Illinois. I don't even remember the name of the city, but I don't know if those people are even plausibly going to be able to come and work in groups, but I put them in groups as best I could. So if that's you, I don't know. Maybe you drive up. I'm not even really sure. Like, I'm pretty sure you can't just do an online degree at Lindenwood. So how do you drive like 2 hours to come to school? I mean, especially the person that lives like way out east in Illinois, that was like an hour and a half east. So if you go to the Belleville campus, that's like maybe an hour and a half drive. But then if you go all the way to St. Charles, that's like a 2-hour drive. You do that like weekly. So anyways, I tried to make these groups by location, so hopefully that works out for you guys. But anyways, the way that comes into play is that when you log in, you're only assigned to your group's discussion forum every week. And so I'm going to make 6 discussion forums. I'll see 6 of them. You'll only see 1. So for instance, when let's see here, when where's group 1? There we are. So when Kelly, Dane, Orlando, and Kyle, when they log in, they're only going to see group 1 discussion forum. At least that's the plan. If you log in and see somebody else's group, then be sure to let me know, because that means that I screwed something up. This is the first time I've done this type of thing on Canvas, so I think it's going to work. But if it doesn't, if you log in and notice that you see, like, if you're one of these 4, if you're Kelly, Dane, Orlando, or Kyle, and you log in and see like group 4 or 5, let me know, because you shouldn't. So the idea here is for you to log in. Once you log in, I have because week 1, you'll notice nobody is assigned the leadership role in week 1. It starts with week 2. We skip week 6 and week 11 because those are the midterm and the final exam, so we don't do leadership that week either. So 1, 6, and 11 don't have leaders. So group 1, the week 1, what I did is I posted a discussion forum for you guys. And so the idea here is to, shoot, I can't see. Let me move my camera. Still can't really see. There we go. You guys still see me? Yeah. Okay. So I gave you some questions. Oh, right. You're going to start off with the Myers-Briggs. So since you guys are going to be in a group, I want you to start reflecting on your own strengths, weaknesses, preferences. And so I have you guys starting off with the Myers-Briggs. A lot of people have already taken that. And this isn't the official Myers-Briggs because we have to pay for that. And the school didn't give me money, and so I'm not going to pay $50 per student because it's 25 people. So that was a lot of money. That's like $1,200. So I think, right? 50 by 25. What is that? Yeah, $1,250. Not going to pay that for no good reason. So what I've given you is kind of the abridged version of that, and so I want you to log in there and look at it. And once you take that exam or the assessment, it's going to give you a 4-letter type, and it'll explain what that type means. Basically, are you extroverted, introverted, things like that. And so it also tells about your preferences. And so what I want you to do is reflect on that. So here it says, spend some time analyzing your results, reflect on those areas in your life where those preferences appear. So if it says that you're more extroverted, What does that look like in life for you? It says you're more introverted. What does that look like in life for you? So whenever you get your results, it's going to give you two sections right below. It'll say the self-development and business use. Definitely take a look at those, because it's like, what kind of careers are you good for? What kind of activities do you excel in? What should you go to school for? And I want you to tell me, do you think those results are accurate? Or at least think about that. You don't necessarily have to tell me, I suppose. Um, and are you one of the lucky few who have more than one type apply to you? Because it is possible to apply to two types. And then, do you see those as strengths or weaknesses? So if you're introverted, is that a good thing for you, or is that a bad thing? Does that come back to kind of bite you in the butt sometimes? And then, what is your learning style? Because that self-development section, that'll tell you a little bit about your learning style. So tell me, talk to me. Well, talk to your group members. I'm going to be kind of moderating these, by the way, so I'll log in maybe sometimes and reply to you, but I'll at least be reading them to make sure the groups are kind of going well. But anyways, talk about your learning style, not just for me, but so that those other people in your group can know about you. Because whenever you're a leader, you're going to have to address these things. You're going to have to be thinking about, what are the strengths of my followers or of my group members, of my teammates? And what does that say about you? And what capacity could these people excel, or what capacity do you think they could excel? And where would you put them if you were the leader of this group? What would you have them do as far as the group work goes? Is there a time you remember some of these preferences stand out in your memory? Explain kind of what those preferences. What is this four-letter typology? What does that look like in your life? All right, so now you reflect on those a little bit. Discuss your results for your group members. Already said that. Learning styles, careers, talked about that. How you view yourself. Okay, so that's what I didn't want to talk about. So spend a little time when you're because in 250 words, you have to produce an initial reply, right? And the idea here is for you to tell me a little bit about what you see as a leadership role, because some people might be introverted, but that's a lot of people relate that to a non-leadership role, but that's not necessarily the case. And so I want to see, if you are introverted, for example, there's a ton of other ones that you could be, but if you are introverted, what does that look like in your leadership role? How do you use that to be a strength, or is that a weakness in your leadership role, or would that be? And so talk about that a little bit, and then talk about your approach to leadership. What are some of the things that you've seen work for you in the past? And if not, what are some things, if you've never had a leadership role, what are some things that you feel like would be good for you, that would work for you? What are some ideas that maybe you've heard or that you've experienced from your supervisors? What are some things that you think will work well? Talk about that, how it relates to your results, and then give some personal anecdotes. I want to hear mostly about your life here. I want to see, what are some personal experiences you've had, whether that be how these typologies, whether you're introvert or extrovert, how does that manifest in your life, or what are some leadership approaches that you experiences? Tell me about yourself. Do that in 250 words, and also respond and reply. Reply to one other person in your group, at least one other person, and talk about their initial response. And so once you read their reply, they've talked a lot about themselves. I want you to reply to them and tell them how you think they're going to fit well into that group. What do you think they're going to bring to the table, just based on what they've told you? So if they said that they had an experience at work where they maybe they're introverted, but they work well on their own, and that is how they've worked, and maybe that's how their supervisor works with them. And so if you were the leader of the group, what areas do you think they would excel at in group work? So talk about that a little bit, and I only need 100 words for that, so that's pretty short. So for that 250 words, again, just come down here, and this is where you're going to type your 250 word response. And then once you post that, it'll come down here. I'm going to do that. I'm not sure if the world's going to break or not, because I'm not actually a student. There we are. And so now that's going to be my response. And down here, you'll hit reply. And then if that was my response, I've talked all about what my approach to leadership is and everything. And now down here, your job is to come into that person's initial response and give them a 100-word response based on where you think they're going to fit well into your group. And you can talk about your own preferences and your own results as well here, because a lot of people, you're going to read in this book, especially in the first couple chapters, that leadership is about working collectively, guiding a group into doing what needs to be done and motivating them to do so. And so while you're thinking about that, think about how they're going to match with you. Because remember, that collective power is going to bring all of you together, and you have to find a way for all 4 of you guys to match together to work collectively and support each other as resources. So think about that, and that might be something you talk about in your 100-word response. But anyways, I'll post that so you can kind of see that. There we are. And so that's what that'll look like. And so that is the first assignment. And next is to come down here after you do your group discussion. Now that you've finished discussion forums, spend some time doing the reading. Hopefully you've already done that by this point. But if you haven't, then after you've done the reading, watch the next lecture video I'm going to give, because I'm going to talk about the theories that we discussed in the first 2 chapters. And after you're done with that, now you work on these 2 assignments. And so I'll talk about these 2 assignments in this video here. But for now, this was just to discuss the group assignments, the group discussion, and really what that group dynamic, what that means in this class. And so basically every week, the group is going to be assigned a task. Most likely it'll have parts. And your job as a leader is kind of to facilitate that, to guide, to harness that collective power and use it to get those assignments done. And of course, you'll also have a discussion forum, which will be part of that as well. So again, let me know if you have any questions via email, via text message. You can find that information on the syllabus. Again, it's 210-818-6160, or emily@lc.edu is the best way to do that. Otherwise, I will see you in just a few seconds after I post this video onto YouTube.